Today in our 2018 Honda Accord, we're going to take a look at and show you how to install the CURT Custom Fit Class 1 Trailer Hitch Receiver, offering the 1 1/4 by 1 1/4 receiver tube opening. Its part number is C11525. Now this is what our hitch is going to look like installed. It's a Class 1 hitch, so we've got an 1 1/4 by 1 1/4 receiver tube opening. It'll work out with cargo carriers, bike racks, anything smaller in nature. Of course, with a Class 1 hitch, it doesn't have a great big capacity. You're also going to have a cross tube that runs along the back side here. Now when you're standing behind the vehicle and it's on the ground, it's not really that noticeable. Everything's kind of tucked in and up underneath the rear. Now you'll see your pinhole here on the side. This is going to be a 1/2 inch pinhole. You want to choose a Class 1 accessory, but there is plenty of room there if you decide you want to use just a pin and clip or maybe a locking hitch pin or anti-rattle device. Shouldn't have any issues there. You've got small oval-shaped safety chain connection points here on the plate. That's going to allow you to hook in any chains from a trailer or something you might want to have connected up there. Now when it comes to weight ratings on the hitch, it has a 200-pound tongue weight rating, so that's the maximum downward force we can put at the receiver tube opening, and it has a 2,000-pound gross trailer weight rating. It's the total weight of your trailer and anything that you load up on it. Definitely check the owner's manual on the Accord though to see what its tow rating is and not go over that. Now one thing you want to keep in mind with the CURT hitch is that they do require the use of a stabilization strap anytime you're hauling a non-wheeled load. So cargo carriers, bike racks, things like that, you have to use that stabilization strap. Now that's not something that's required on the draw-tight hitch. It's also available for the Accord, but that hitch does require you to remove the rear fascia to get it installed. So it's kind of a give and take there between the two. Now a couple measurements you're going to find helpful for selecting your ball mount bike rack or hitch cargo carrier will be from the ground to the inside top edge of the receiver tube opening. We've got about 11 inches. With that being the case, we'd recommend items with a rise in the shank just to give you better ground clearance. Then from the center of our hitch pinhole to the outermost edge of our bumper, it's about 4 inches. Now the installation process for the hitch isn't all that difficult. To start, we need to get our exhaust lowered down. On each side in our tailpipe section, we're going to have one hanger right here at the back. Then if we'll go right up to the front, we've got a second one located here. Those are going to be the same on both sides. Now from there we can follow our tailpipe down past the Y. We've got our third one right here. That's going to give us a total of 5, 2 on each side, and then this one here. We'll want to get those removed. Now to get these off, I like to use a little bit of spray lubricant. And then we're just going to use a pry bar, a large screwdriver. Just want to get that rubber portion worked off of the metal portion. Now we're going to come to the driver's side here. We've got our exhaust flange. We want to take the two nuts off. I'm going to use a 14mm socket. We're of course going to hang on to those and reinstall them. But that'll allow us to separate this portion of our exhaust, and it'll give us some more room. Now at that point, we'll just take the passenger side here. We're going to bring that over and then down. We can just let it rest. Now we'll grab a 10mm socket, and we want to take this bolt out. It's going to be the very back bolt in our heat shield on the bottom of the frame rail. Do that on both sides. Now we're going to measure from the back side of our heat shield forward 5 inches. So that's going to put us right here. And then we want to find the center. So we come right down the frame, right to that. So that'll be right there. Now we're going to do this on both sides. That'll give our X where we're going to cut out our hole. Now we're going to be using a hole saw to achieve that 1 1/4 hole. It's probably the best bet. You could also use a step bit if you wanted to, but you'll have to get a hole started. Now this is the hole we want to gain access to underneath our heat shield. You'll see I had to enlarge my hole just a little bit, just using some tin snips. It's because it didn't line up just right, so you might have to do that on yours. Once we've got that done, we want to hold our hitch up into position, and we want to line this hole up right in the middle of that elongated hole. Once we're happy with its positioning, we want to mark our outside hole here. We're going to do that on both sides. It's the hole closest to the back. Now we're going to get that hole drilled out in just a second, but another step, we want to hammer this heat shield flat down around this rear mounting point. Just use a dead blow. You can see it's pretty easy to get that flattened out. We'll do that on both sides. Now we'll want to start in the center of the frame there, and we'll get our hole drilled out. Now we need to enlarge our hole so we can get that bolt and spacer block in place. You can see, just going to kind of cut it out so we can pass that carriage bolt up and through, just using a metal type cutoff wheel. You could also use a little saw or a file, but a power tool is definitely going to help the process. And ultimately, this is what we're going to be looking for. We want to be able to place our carriage bolt in, and we can just rotate that up in position. Now we need to get a spacer block put on it as well. So we're going to put our bolt through the spacer block, and we'll thread on our pull wire. So it's threaded down on there, we'll want to separate them. Place our bolt up and through, and we'll push it up in there. Pass our block through, up and in there. And we want to bring that back down. We might have to rotate it to get that block to where it's in front and back for us there. Now once we have that in place, let's get our pull wire down off there. We're going to do the same thing this time with just our 1-inch bolt, and this time we use the smaller spacer block. That rear hole, you use the larger one. Same process. All right, and we'll head to the passenger side and do the same thing there. Now with the help of an extra set of hands, we'll line up our bolts with the holes in our hitch here. And as we do this, we need to be careful not to push these bolts back up in the frame. And then onto each of them, we want to thread on one of our flange nuts here. And we'll get this one started really well. And we can get this one going. Now we'll take our 11/16" socket. We're going to get these snug down, then we can torque them to the specifications listed in our instructions. Now with those torqued down, we'll get our exhaust put back up into place. Remember to get this hanger above that cover first, just like that, and then we'll put our exhaust on the driver's side. Now it's just a matter of going back through. We need to get our exhaust put back up in position here. A little bit more spray lubricant's going to help you out with it. Now once you get these all put back up into position, your hitch is going to be ready for use. And that'll complete our installation of the CURT Custom Fit Class 1 Trailer Hitch Receiver, part number C11525 on our 2018 Honda Accord.